السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. اللهم ربي يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير، وبك نستعين يا فتاح يا عليم. اللهم افتح لنا بالخير واختم لنا بالخير، واجعل عواقب أمورنا بالخير. رب اشرح لنا صدورنا ويسر لنا أمورنا واحلل عقدة من ألسنتنا يفقهوا قولنا، ونور قلوبنا بمعرفتك، واشرح صدورنا بنور كتابك وسنة نبيك، واحفظنا أن زلل وخطأ في بيان مرادك. وصلى الله على النبي الأمي. بسم الله.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قال وتجوز المنازعة في الشفعة وإن لم يقدر الشفيع الثمن إلى مجلس القاضي، فإذا قضى القاضي بالشفعة لزمه إحضار ثمنه. قال رضي الله عنه: وهذا ظاهر رواية الأصل.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So we continue with the process, the court judicial process, how it will go about. So previously we had discussed the basic outline of how the case will proceed. Will be asked to present proof and evidence, will be asked to take an oath and so forth. What evidence must they present? What type of oath must they take? Now he is discussing the details of who will be presented. Who is the Khasam? Who will the Shafi present in court? And if there is a dispute between the amount, between the Shafi and the Mushtari, for example, what happens in that case? Fine. So he says, Imam Qudi Rahman says, وتجوز منازعة في الشفعة وإن لم يحضر الشفيع الثمن إلى مجلس القاضي. That it is permissible to undertake this judicial process, this legal wrangling, shufa with regards to shufa, even though the shafi does not present the payment in the sitting of the judge. In other words, he doesn't have to come there with the money and present the money, that here's the money, the price that is the house is for sale. I brought the money as well, the cash for it as well. That's not necessary. فإذا قضى القاضي بشفعة لازمه إحضار الثمن. Yes, once the Qadi has judged in his favor with regards to the Shufa, then it will become imperative, necessary for him to present the money. وهذا ظاهر رواية الأصل. And this is the apparent meaning of what is narrated in the Asl, in Maqsood. Why is saying that is because this isn't explicitly mentioned in Kitab al-Maqsood, but it is what is deduced from it. Right? This is what we deduce from the Kitab. That's why he's saying وَهَذَا الظَّاهِرُ رِوَايَةٍ. He's not saying هذا رواية الأصل, but هذا الظاهر. That apparently on the surface it would appear that this is what is the madhab. وعن محمد رحمه الله تعالى أنه لا يقضى ولا يقضي يعني القاضي بالشفعة حتى يحضر الشفيع الثمن. Now Muhammad Rahmatullah, one opinion is that he will not, the judgment will not be passed in favor of the Shafi until the Shafi is able to present the payment. وهو رواية الحسن رحمه الله تعالى عن أبي حنيفة رحمه الله تعالى. And this is the narration of Imam Hassan ibn Ziyad رحمه الله تعالى from Imam Abu Hanifa رحمه الله تعالى. Why? لأن الشفيع ساو يكون مفلسا. Because it's possible the Shafi is unable to pay. Muflis actually means to be bankrupt, without money. It's possible the Shafi is bankrupt. Yeah, what it means is he doesn't have the money. فيتوقف قضاء على إحضاره. So therefore, judgment will be stalled up to him presenting, or upon him presenting the money. So we need to see that he does have the money to pay, otherwise he's wasting everybody's time. حتى لا يتوى مال المشتري يتبع or you can لا يتبع مال المشتري يهلك. So that the wealth or the money of the mushtari, the buyer, doesn't go to waste. وجه الظاهر, and the reasoning of the ظاهر رواية أنه لا ثمن له عليه قبل القضاء, that there is nothing due upon him, there is nothing owing from him, understand, before the judgment. ولهذا لا يشترط تسليمه, therefore it is not conditional that he must hand it over. Okay? فكذا لا يشترط إحضاره. So similarly,
is it تسليمه for the property?
ما?
Is it تسليمه for the regarding the property?
No,
Or is it
تسليم
regarding
الثمن.
the ثمن?
تسليم
Okay.
الثمن. Yeah. And is not conditional that he must hand over the amount that is due. So therefore, there's no condition for him having it present with him in court. Yeah.
قال وإذا قضى القاضي بالدار للشفيع قيل له ادفع الثمن إلى المشتري وللمشتري أن يحبسها حتى يستوفي الثمن.
See, now he says, وَإِذَا قَضَى لَهُ بِالدَّارِ, and if the judge passes in his favor, then passes judgment in his favor with regards to the house or the property, then the mushtari has the right to withhold, to restrain the property until he has received the amount in full. He's still got to obtain something in full or to do something in full completely. So he has the right to withhold the property until he has been paid the amount in full. وينفذ القضاء عند محمد أيضا لأنه فصل مجتهد فيه ووجب عليه ثمن. And according to Imam Muhammad rahmatullahi, the judgment will also be applicable. Okay? That even though he hasn't yet paid over the money, the judgment of the judge will be applicable according to Muhammad rahmatullahi as well. Why? لأنه فصل مجتهد فيه, because this is a masla which is mujtahad fi, which is open to dispute or open to interpretation. Okay. ووجب عليه الثمن, and it becomes compulsory upon him now to pay the amount. فيحبس فيه, so therefore he can be restrained in regards to the amount. He can be retained with regards to the amount to be paid. Okay.
فلو أخر أداء الثمن بعدما
So what
قال
he's saying
له.
here, what Imam Muhammad is saying is that you won't stall judgment until he presents the money, but rather you will pass judgment and then you can retain the property, that mushtari can retain the property until it gets paid in full. So there's no need to stall judgment. There's no need to delay judgment until he brings the money. Okay? And what it means here, لأنه فصل مجتهد فيه, means that this is a masala or matter in which obviously there's differing opinions. So once the judge has passed a ruling, in all different opinion falls away, because now judgment will overrule any kind of differing opinion. You follow?
Yeah.
كده؟
فلو أخر أداء الثمن بعدما قال له ادفع الثمن إليه لا تبطل شفعته لأنها تأكدت بالخصومة عند القاضي.
If he delays, or فلو أخر, if he delays, meaning the shafi, أداء ثمنه, the payment of the amount, بعدما قال له ادفع الثمن إليه, after the judge told him, right, now hand over the fee, hand over the amount, hand over the amount to him. لا تبطل شفاعته. In this case, delay will not cancel his invalidate his shufa. Remember we did previously that if he delays in the first step, talabul mu'athaba, if he delays, it falls away immediately. Talabul khusuma, if it delays, in according to Sahibain, also falls away. One says 1 month, other one says one sitting on the qadi, if he's got no excuse. Understand? If he does have an excuse, then they all accept it is fine. So yeah, delayment after judgment in presenting the money, that won't invalidate his shufa. لأن تأكدت بالخصومة. Why? Because now it has become firmly established because of the judicial process in the qadi, in the presence of the judge. You follow?
Yeah.
So now his haq is established, and so it can't be taken away now, unless the judge decides otherwise afterwards, or unless he fails to make payment. Gee.
قال وإن أثر الشفيع البائع والمبيع في يده فله أن يقاسمه في الشفعة لأن اليد له وهي يد مستحقة.
But we did touch on this previously, that who will the Shafi present in court? Who will be his khasam? Who will be his opponent in court? So he says, وَإِنْ أَحْضَرَ الشَّفِيعُ الْبَائِعَ وَالْمَبِيعُ فِي يَدِهِ فَلَهُ أَنْ يُخَاصِمَهُ فِي الشُّفَعَةِ. But if the Shafi presents meaning he summons the seller, understand, to court to come and answer, and the mabi, the house, the property, is in his possession, فَلَهُ, then he has a right to do so. He has a right to oppose him in court. And he has the right to take him to court. You follow?
Sure.
Why? Because he has possession. So we touched on this yesterday. في شفعته لأن اليد له. Why? Because he has possession, and possession is also plays an important role in ownership. Even though he sold it, it is still in his possession. So therefore, he still has some attachment to the property as such, some connection to the property as such. وهو يد مستحقة ولا يسمع القاضي البينة حتى يحضر المشتري فيفسخ البيع بمشهد منه. Why? Because it is or you can say يد مستحقة. It is the ownership of a proprietal ownership. It is proprietal ownership, or it is ownership which has led to a right being claimed from him. Okay? So that's probably he has, so not ownership, sorry, possession. Yeah, this possession, because it is in his possession, and it is such possession that from which somebody is claiming a right. Okay? So because somebody is claiming a right over this possession, over this thing which he has in his possession, therefore we can bring him to court. We can summon him to court. However, the qadi will not listen to any proof until the mushtari also presents himself in court. Why? فَيَفْسَخُ الْبَيْعُ بِمَشْهَدٍ مِنْهُ, so that the transaction between him and the seller can be cancelled in his presence. Now he's going to mention some data about this. The actual sale is not cancelled. That's what we mentioned in front. وَيَقْضِي بِشُفْعَةِ عَلَى الْبَائِعِ, and you will judge against the seller with regards to the property, the shufa. وَيَجْعَلُ الْأُهْدَةُ عَلَيْهِ. However, all contractual responsibilities, uhda means like a promise, responsibility. So all contractual responsibilities will be placed upon him, upon the seller. You following?
Yeah.
Right, so just to sum it up again, he can summon the seller to court if the seller still has possession of the property. However, in a case where the judge is going to judge in favor, however, the judge will not listen to any proof or evidence until the mushtari is also in court. So that if it is found in favor of the Shafi, then the sale between him and the Ba'i will be cancelled. However, as I said, there's some detail to that. And lastly, uh, all contractual responsibilities thereafter, like signing the documents, in the transfer fees or whatever else, whatever normally takes place, all of that will be the responsibility of the seller, the original owner, in other words. Follow?
Okay.
وَلِأَنَّ الْمِلْكَ لِلْمُشْتَرِي, because there is ownership for the mushtari. He's already bought the property. وَالْيَدُ لِلْبَائِ, and possession is that of the seller. So the mushtari, the buyer, has ownership and the seller has possession. So each one of them, in their own way, have some link to the property. Okay, so we can present either one of them. But if we present the buyer, the seller, then the mushtari also needs to come there because he is the owner of the property. So it's only fair that he also is present to see what's going to happen. What is the outcome of his property? Is he going to lose ownership or not? You follow?
Okay.
وَالْقَاضِي يَقْضِي بِهِمَا لِلشَّفِيعِ, and the Qadi is basically judging against both of them in favor of the Shafi. فَلَا بُدَّ مِنْ حُضُورِهِمَا, therefore it's necessary that both of them be present. بخلاف ما إذا كانت الدار قد قبضت, حيث لا يعتبر حضور البائع. Contrary to if the house was already taken possession of, so the mushtari bought it and he already took ownership of it, took possession of it. In that case, the presence of the seller will no longer be considered as we did yesterday, because he's become a third party, an outlayer, a stranger in this whole thing. Okay? لأنه صار أجنبيا, because he has become a stranger, a third party, is completely unrelated to this matter any longer. It's completely got no connection to this matter whatsoever any longer. إذ لا يبقى له يد ولا ملك, because neither possession nor ownership has remained for him. Now, وقوله فيفسخ البيع بمشهد منه إشارة إلى علة أخرى. And Imam Quduri rahmatullah's statement that the transaction will be cancelled in his presence indicates towards another illayah as well. And that is what? Another أن البيع في حق المشتري إذا كان ينفسخ لا بد من حضوره ليقضى بالفسخ عليه. That, and this, it is this, that the bay, the transaction, in the right of the mushtari, or you can say in with regards to the mushtari, if it is going to be cancelled, it is necessary that he be present in order that the cancellation takes place against him. You follow?
Okay.
So because he is the other party, you see the transaction, the Shafi is not is not part of the deal, the buying and the selling. He's claiming that he has right over the mushtari. He has first preference of the mushtari. So the bay actually took place between the buy and the seller, the mushtari and the buy. You follow?
Okay.
So if the judge is going to rule in favor of the Shafi, and basically now that means that their transaction is null and void, he has to be present because he is the one that dealt directly with the buy. You follow? So this is another reason why he must be present in court, so that the sale that he made between himself and the seller can be cancelled in his presence. That's his right. You follow? Now, also very important, the reasoning for this cancellation, al-madhkur, which has been mentioned, that we will only cancel the association of the mushtari to the property. We're not actually cancelling the deal itself. You understand? It's very important. We're not cancelling the transaction itself, which took place between the buyer and the seller. We are cancelling his right to that property. His association with that property. You follow?
Sure.
Why?
So that
Because
sale is not.
remember, Murph,
So the sale itself is not for.
I can't hear you.
So the sale itself is not void, but the right to the property
No,
is
we
void.
can't void the sale. Why can't we void the sale itself? Because remember, that is the whole shart for claiming shufa, isn't it?
Sure. Yeah, so you
You can
can't
only
void it.
claim shufa once the house goes on sale or it has been sold, isn't it?
Sure.
So if you cancel the sale, what happens?
You
There's no
you
hakul
can sell the
shufa.
house. Sure.
You follow? So we
Sure.
can't actually cancel because remember, the reason why we have offering shufa is to show because the shart is that we must the person selling the house must show some kind of disinterest, i'rad. He must show kind of a disinterest in owning the property any longer. And the alamat of that is him putting it up for sale. So if we cancel the sale, the shufa is therefore out the shart. So if you don't have the shart, you can't have the mashrut.
Sure.
I said, so we can't directly cancel the sale. What we're canceling is his right or his association to the ownership of the house. But the sale
Sure.
stands, and the shafi will take the place of the mushtari. You become like as if he is the mushtari. You
Sure.
follow? You
Buying
follow
it from the one who bought it.
why that is?
Sure. So it's like he's buying it from the one who bought it.
Exactly, exactly. Uh, لامتناع قبض المشتري بالأخذ, because it's not possible for the mushtari بالأخذ بالشفعة. It's not possible for the mushtari to take possession now any longer because of it being taken by the means of shufa. وهو يوجب الفسخ. So this necessitates cancellation, then cancelling the mushtari out of the deal, cancelling him out of the picture. لا أنه يبقى أصل البيع إلا أنه يبقى أصل البيع. However, the original transaction will remain لتعذر انفساخه, because it is not possible or it is difficult for us to cancel the actual contract, the actual sale. Why? لأن الشفعة بناء عليه, because the shufa is dependent upon it. The right to حق shufa depends upon it, is based upon it, upon the sale. ولكن, so if you cancel it out, the shufa falls away. ولكنه تتحول الصفقة إليه ويصير كأنه هو المشتري منه. So, however, rather what will happen is this transaction, Safaqa transaction, will be transferred to him. And it will be as if he becomes a mushtari, buying it from the buy. Is it about it clear?
Sure.
فلهذا يرجع بالعهدة على البائع. It is for this reason that all contractual responsibilities will be placed upon the buyer, the seller. بخلاف ما إذا قبضه المشتري, contrary to if the mushtari has to take possession of it. فأخذه من يدي, now we will take it from his possession. حيث تكون العهدة عليه, because in this instance all the contractual responsibilities will be his. Why? Because he's become the new owner. So because now he's a new and complete owner, everything will revert to him. Okay? The buy is out of the picture, the original owner is out of the picture. لأنه تم ملكه, because by him taking possession of the property, his ownership is now complete. بالقبض. وفي الوجه الأول امتنع قبض المشتري. And in the first case, the mushtari's qabd, his taking his possession, was not completed. وأنه يوجب الفسخ. That is why it necessitated fasq. It necessitated us cancelling the deal. Okay? So in the first instance, where you are still in the position of the buyer, we had to first cancel him out, and then revert the contract or the sale to the Shafi. But if it's wholly in his possession, we don't have to cancel anything. We deal with him directly. Okay? وقد طولنا الكلام فيه في كفاية المنتهي بتوفيق الله تعالى, and we have discussed this in detail in his other kitab كفاية المنتهي with the توفيق of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala والحمد لله. Okay, I think we'll stop here, inshallah. Probably going to get caught in the middle of this. Okay, we finish it. Okay, inshallah. وقال ومن اشترى دارا لغيره فهو الخصم للشفيع. That is if the buyer and the seller directly purchase the property. But if somebody bought the property on behalf of either the buyer or the seller, a wakil in other words, for example, then what happens? So it says فهو الخصم في الشفيع. Then whoever that in between is, whoever that the representative is, he will have to come to court. He will be summoned to court. Okay? لأنه هو العاقل, because he is the one undertaking the transaction. So even though he's buying it on behalf of the buyer, he's buying it on behalf of the mushtari, but because he's the one undertaking the transaction, he will be presented to court. He will be summoned to court. Okay? والأخذ بالشفعة من حقوق العقد, and taking the property because of shuf'a is from the rights of the transaction. فيتوجه عليه, so therefore, because he is the aqid, the one undertaking the transaction, everything will be turned to him, and all matters will be what's the word? Will be addressed to him. Okay. إلا يسلم إلى الموكل, unless he already handed it over to the muwakkil, the person who hired him in the first instance. لأنه لم يبقى له يد ولا ملك, because now neither ownership nor possession remains for him. فيكون الخصم هو الموكل. So in this instance here, the khasm, the opponent, will revert back to the actual person, the muwakkil, the person who hired him in the first place. Understood that?
Sure.
Right, so for example, someone is up in Joburg, there's a house inside in Cape Town, he's got a friend there, phones his friend, you know what, can't you just handle this deal for me? Okay, go see the place, let me know what you think, is good or bad, I'll transfer the funds, so on and so forth, right? So the person in Cape Town, if their thing now is Shufat thing, the guy in Cape Town will have to go to court. You follow?
Yeah.
Unless he transferred the property to his friend in Joburg, sent him the keys, everything, and he's now completely out of the picture. Then the guy in Joburg, the guy who bought it in the first place, he will be summoned. Okay, because now the guy in Cape Town got nothing to do with it any longer. He did his job. He fulfilled his job as a wakil, and he's out of the picture. You following?
Sure.
وهذا لأن الوكيل كالباعي من الموكل. This is because the wakil is like he is the purchaser. It's like he is the buyer on behalf of the muwakkil. على ما عرف, as is known. فتسليمه إليك كتسليم البائع إلى المشتري. So for him to hand over the property to this muwakkil is like how the ba'i is handed over to the mushtari. فتصير الخصومة معه, so therefore the judicial process will be against him. إلا أنه مع ذلك قائم مقام الوكيل, except that despite all of this, he is still the representative of the muwakkil and not the actual owner. فيكتفي بحضوره في الخصومة, so therefore we will suffice by summoning him, the wakil, to the judiciary or judicial process قبل التسليم, prior to him handing over everything to the muwakkil himself. وكذا إذا كان البائع وكيل الغائب, and the same thing will apply if the seller is a wakil of someone who is absent. Understand? فللشفيع يأخذها منه, so the shafi will have the right to take it from him, the representative of the ba'i who is absent. إذا كان في يدي, if it is still in his position, لأنه عاقل, for the same reason, because he is the one contracting, he is the one that is undertaking this whole deal. وكذا إذا كان اليد, إذا كان الباعي وصيا لميت فيما يجوز بيعه لما ذكرنا. And the same thing will apply, another example of where this might apply, is where the ba'i, the seller, is the wasi, the executor for a deceased. He's selling the deceased property as an executor. He's selling the deceased property. Then him, the wasi, will be brought to court. The executor will be brought to court. Okay. In those matters where it is permissible for him to sell, for the reason we have already mentioned, right? Like for example, there's no minor in the estate and so on and so forth, because then you can't sell it. The minor, because you need to take ijazah from all the heirs. And if one of the heirs is a minor, he doesn't have the right to give ijazah because he's still a minor. So then you can't sell, for example. Understand? And such
yeah,
other instances as well. Okay. So if the wasi is by right to sell it, there's no issue with regards to that. As the executor, then he will be brought to court. He will be summoned to court to answer. Okay. If Shufa is claimed. Understood?
sure.
Inshallah, we'll stop there. Inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. Any questions? Anything you didn't understand?
Alhamdulillah, got it.
Gee, inshallah, it's Friday, Laylatul Jum'ah, and also, mashallah, 9th of Dhul Hijjah, as well as tomorrow, inshallah. So make a lot of dua, a lot of istighfar, fourth kalima, salawat, Surah Al-Kahf, and a lot of dua also for yourself, for your parents, for your satida, and the whole ummah at large also, inshallah. جي سبحان الله بحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. Inshallah, may Allah bless you with a joyous Eid as well on Saturday as well, inshallah. Accept تقبل الله منا ومنكم inshallah. Inshallah, and inshallah, hopefully see you next week inshallah. جزاك الله
إن
خير.
شاء
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله. عليكم السلام ورحمة الله.